Good morning. As I read the news this morning, we find that Russia launched an intercontinental ballistic missile during an attack on the Ukraine last night, Kyiv says. This is a headline out of the Japan Times. Russia launched an intercontinental ballistic missile during an attack on Ukraine on Thursday, Kyiv's Air Force said, in the first known use of this in the war of such a powerful weapon, a nuclear-capable weapon with a range of thousands of kilometers. In particular, an intercontinental ballistic missile was launched from the Astrakhan region of the Russian Federation, Kyiv said, without specifying what kind of ICBM was fired. And they will not speculate on what kind of warhead was used. It's pretty obvious that it wasn't a nuclear warhead. We'd all know. That would have been flashed around the world instantaneously. This is multiple messages. This is Russia telling Ukraine, we can hit you wherever we want, however we want, with whatever we want, whenever we want. And they're sending a message to the West that all we had to do was change a warhead. That's it. Change a warhead. A 2,000 to 3,000 pound warhead attached to an intercontinental ballistic missile is a very expensive way of blowing up one target. That's clearly a message. All we had to do was change a warhead. The question, and it is raised in this article, the question I have is, was the United States warned prior to this attack that a ballistic missile would be used? Because you can clearly see the people at NORAD in Cheyenne Mountain would have been losing their ever-loving minds to see a ballistic missile launch from Russia. They're able to tell what kind of missile it is just by the plume. Again, Annie Jacobson's book, Nuclear War, A Scenario. I highly recommend it. Something like this, although not covered specifically in the book gives you a lot of insight into what our capabilities are and what would have happened during an event like this, where you see what is clearly identifiable by its plume and other methods, as pointed out in her book. Cheyenne Mountain and NORAD would have known this was an intercontinental ballistic missile. A single one, yes. They would have been able to get its targeting within 30 seconds and find out it's going to Ukraine, and then they all probably collectively held their breath. I wouldn't be at all surprised if, had we had a president in charge, that president would have been warned by Cheyenne Mountain, and that nuclear protocols might have actually been put into place. We might have been a lot closer than people want to admit to Armageddon last night, a couple hours ago. All depending on what happened. Russia has sent a message. They have sent a very clear message. They are starting to take the gloves off. Do I think that they're going to launch a full-scale nuclear attack against the West? No, I do not. I do not believe that's a thing. They understand what we understand. That nuclear war is the end. It's over. There's no coming back from it. There's no putting that genie back in the bottle, as I've said in a previous video. But just the fact that they would use an intercontinental ballistic missile, I can't believe it's one of their new top-of-the-line ones. It has to be one of the older ones. If it is one of their new top-of-the-line ones, one of the ones that they've been recently testing, that's even worse news. Because that tells you that they're really taking the gloves off, that we are closer than we want to imagine. We need peace. It's my hope that President Trump and President Putin have already spoken and have a plan in place. I've heard commentators saying that, but I really have. It's really shaky. It's really shaky. This is a dangerous moment in human history. This goes back to that video I made previously that it's my opinion that we are in the most dangerous time in human history. That as soon as Donald Trump was elected, we had 76 days. 76 days. If you go back and look through my videos, you'll see a very poorly made one saying that I think we have 76 days. Because Joe isn't in charge. We all know it. It's committees, it's groups of people, we are in dangerous times. We are in dangerous times, and had we had a president, an actual president last night, I think they would have been woken up. I think they would have been woken up. Cheyenne Mountain was on high alert, I guarantee it. Again, they don't know if the United States was told. I don't think we were. I don't think we were. We are in our relationship is so foul, so toxic now, that even speaking to one another is almost impossible. When was the last time any high administration official spoke with any high administration official in Russia? Can anyone tell me? 2021, 2022? The last one I know of was President Trump speaking to President Putin. And it's my hope that they actually did speak, and that right now we are going through the last throes before peace. And it's hard to believe, but it is a hope. Folks, the use of a ICBM as essentially a tactical weapon, essentially it was used as a tactical weapon last night. But it was probably on a strategic target. There's a lot of messages that were sent last night. Most of them we probably don't know. Like, what was that target that was hit last night by that ICBM with the conventional warhead? Would it have been considered a prominent nuclear target had that been a tactical or a strategic warhead that was on that weapon? It's a question we'll never know. They'll never state it. I kind of think it was. You wouldn't use that on just a tank. You'd find some command and control center or something and make an example of it. You'd drop a 3,000 pound weapon on it, fired from 1,000 kilometers away, with the implicit warning that, hey, this could have been. This could have been. And had it been, there wouldn't be anything here. Last night, Russia launched an intercontinental ballistic missile. Thank God it had a standard warhead on it. We are so close to Armageddon. We really need peace. We need peace. We are in the most dangerous time in human history. I've said it before and I'll say it again. This is the most dangerous time in human history because of the capabilities that we have as a race now. We can destroy ourselves too easily. And when we have incompetent people at the helm, or bloodthirsty monsters at the helm, anything is possible. And it's clear right now that the people in charge of the West are bloodthirsty monsters. This is not to give Putin any kind of leeway. He is also a bloodthirsty monster, but we got to stop pushing. Stop pushing. Stop pushing. There's a way of peace. There has to be. We have to find it before one of these missiles has a nuclear weapon on board. Once that happens, it's over. Pray for peace, but stay sour.